Mr. Johnson, along with his co-defendants, was indicted by the St. Johns County Grand Jury on May the 10th, 2010. A two-count indictment charged Mr. Johnson with first-degree premeditated and felony murder in count 1 and kidnapping in count 2 of Vincent Binder, the victim of this case. The St. Johns County jury returned a unanimous guilty verdict as to both charges on June 19, 2014. Upon the verdict, the jury was then reconvened for the penalty phase of the trial, and on June 26, 2014, the jury recommended to this court by a vote of 12-0 that it should impose a death sentence upon Kentrell Frankie Johnson for the killing of Vincent Binder. The Spencer hearing took place on September 3rd, 2014, and the sentencing was scheduled for today, the 16th day of September 2014 at 9 a.m. Mr. Johnson's co-defendant, Peter Marcus Hughes and Quentin Marcus Truhill, have also appeared before this court for their respective cases. The disposition of Mr. Truhill's case was the result of a trial before a jury. Mr. Hughes came to a disposition as a result of a change of his plea to guilty. On the capital murder count, co-defendant Quentin M. Truhill was sentenced to death by this court on May 16, 2014. A copy of his sentencing order can be found in case 2010 CF 763, St. Johns County, Florida, Clerk's Office. On the capital murder count, co-defendant Peter M. Hughes entered a plea of guilty before this court on June the 19th, 2014. Mr. Hughes was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. His change of plea was with the consent of the state attorney. The reasoning behind Mr. Hughes' plea hinges on issues of mental retardation and the effect it would have had on a trial. Although the issue was not fully explored, the state of Florida felt reasonably satisfied so as not to seek a trial for co-defendant Hughes. In this case, the state has presented strong evidence of 6 aggravating circumstances, which this court found that all of them were proven beyond a reasonable doubt and were given great weight in consideration. Mr. Johnson has presented evidence of 3 statutory mitigators and 12 non-statutory mitigators. This court found that all 3 of the statutory mitigators deserved very slight weight. As to the non-statutory mitigators, the court found that 2 had very slight weight, 8 had slight weight, 1 had moderate weight, and 1 had great weight. In a global sense of analysis, the statutory aggravating evidence presented in this case substantially outweighs all of the statutory and non-statutory evidence of mitigation combined. The court finds that the jury in this case got it right. The jury considered the same aggravators and same mitigators, with the exception of the Spencer hearing evidence, and reached the same conclusion as this court. By a vote of 12-0, the jury recommended that this court impose the death penalty upon Kentrell Frankie Johnson for the killing of Vincent Binder. In sum, the killing was done by Mr. Johnson, who had lost his freedom because of a violent past, but regained it by escaping from imprisonment, only to kill without a just cause. If the death penalty is truly reserved for those cases that are the most aggravated and least mitigated cases, then this case certainly qualifies. The weights of the aggravators in this case are among the heaviest that the law recognizes. Mr. Kentrell Frankie Johnson, being personally before this court and accompanied by his attorneys of record, Junior Barrett and Randall Richardson, and the court having given the defendant an opportunity to be heard and to offer matters in mitigation of sentence and to show cause where the defendant should not be sentenced as provided by law, and no further cause being shown, it is the sense of this court that on count 1 of the indictment and for the first-degree murder of Vincent Binder, you be adjudicated guilty of said offense, and that you, Kentrell Frankie Johnson, be committed to the custody of the Department of Corrections of the state of Florida to be put to death in the manner prescribed by law. On count 2 of the indictment, and for the kidnapping of Vincent Binder, that you, Kentrell Frankie Johnson, be committed to the custody of the Department of Corrections of the state of Florida to be imprisoned for a term of natural life. These sentences are to run concurrent with one another, and costs are hereby waived. The Sheriff of St. Johns County, Florida is hereby ordered and directed to deliver Cantrell Ferranti Johnson to the Department of Corrections of the State of Florida at the facility designated by the department, together with a copy of this judgment and sentence and any other documents specified by Florida statute. Mr. Cantrell Ferranti Johnson is now advised in open court of his right to appeal from this sentence by filing a notice of appeal within 30 days from the date with the clerk of the court, and that the defendant's right to the assistance of counsel in taking the appeal at the expense of the state on a showing of indigency. This is a judge in open court at the Richard O. Watson Judicial Center, this 16th day of September 2004. Thank you very much.